Just not. Just got some yellow tape blocked off the street. You can't come down this today.
That's right.
That's Philly.
That is.
And dare you to take that yellow tape off. Don't be a fool. Just go, yep, it's messed up. Now you got to go through a series of one-way streets just to get out of wherever it is you are. But hey man, kind of call them like white problems living in a black city.
Jeez.
That's what a lot of this amounts to, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Like I
Absolutely.
moved into a black city and I didn't know I'd have these kind of problems.
Yes. Well, I mean, that's also like you should understand the culture of a community before you move into it. It's sort of like there's a spot in DC where they have been playing go-go music for like 25, 30 years. And it was an all-black neighborhood, and the shop played go-go music all day long. So new development went up around the corner from it, all new as all new white gentrifiers moved into the neighborhood. Then they started calling the police together to complain about the store. So the police came to the store, shut down the music. Well, the rest of the black folk in the community had a fit, and they called out all of Black DC. So
Hmm.
tens of thousands of black folk, this happened right before the coronavirus shutdown, tens of thousands of black folk show up outside of the store demanding that they turn the music back on. They organized the council members, they organized the mayor into the process, and the music's back on. And the neighbors have been told you should have known what you were moving into before you moved into the neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
That's the problem with gentrification, right?
Well, right. By the way, we're on Facebook Live, YouTube Live. Hit the share button if you're out there, and all of that good stuff. But yes, white problems in a black city.
It's just like the white folk that are walking their dogs on Howard University's campus.
Yeah, I mean, I just keep thinking it's like the other day that the big virtual town hall on ATVs and dirt bikes that was started by one of the neighborhood associations, and I know them well. These are my friends because we used to live in Queen Village.
Okay.
Queen Village borders the church, and I mean,
Right.
I literally know these folk personally, work with them on a lot of stuff. But I probably would have advised against it if they had asked me,
Mhm.
because it's the look of it, which is we need to stop the presses and have like a virtual town hall just on ATVs because this is the bane of our existence. It's the worst thing that ever happens. They run up and down. They do donuts in the street on these little four wheelers. They do smoke outs. And I guess like a lot of black folk in Philly are like, I really wish that life was good enough for me that could be the thing I need to have a town hall about. You know what I
I
mean?
hear you. I
It's
hear you.
like, so maybe once I stop like the shootings, the open air drug market, the crappy wage jobs
Yep.
that contributes to a lot of that, these massive craters that they call potholes. Maybe if I get to a quality of life where like that becomes the only thing that we as neighbors talk about, like, isn't it terrible? I mean, it's like, heck, in some neighborhoods, the dirt bikes are a great distraction and entertainment. It's like let's get our mind off of like what happened last night on the block and go watch the dirt bikes zip by.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, seriously.
I hear you. I hear you.
I get it, y'all. I know it's a problem, but the look of it, again, when it's a group of like, largely white folk who are like the ones who bring it out bring it to the attention of folk, kind of misses the larger point of what's going on in the city.
Right.
Let's use those same folk to have a town hall about, again, I don't know, 7.25 is a minimum wage.
Absolutely. I was getting ready to say that. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about health care. Let's talk about food insecurity. We have the second largest food desert in the country in Philadelphia. Right. How do you have a food desert in the middle of a major city? I don't understand that. Somebody needs to explain that one to me.
Yeah. I mean, not to mention the fact that it's kind of like you remember the movie Creed?
Yep.
How many times have you seen that?
I've seen it like 3, 4 times.
That's a great movie.
It is.
That's probably one of the most Philly movies I've ever seen, like in a very long time.
Right.
You know, shot here on location. Michael B. Jordan, Stallone. He basically, you know, they took. You know, Stallone is not invited back to Creed Part 3, right?
Oh, really?
Michael B. is like, I'm good now, bro. Thanks, Unc.
Thanks,
I
Unc.
got it from here, Unc. So I was like, yo, what are you talking about? I said, nah, I'm good, bro. They ain't calling your name no more, son.
You know, Stallone and I went to the same high school.
Word?
Yeah, he went to Lincoln High School up in the Northeast. That's where I went. I graduated from Lincoln. Well, I did 2 years at Lincoln. I was at another school before that, but
Yeah.
we had the same French teacher, and she complained about him every class.
Wow.
So,
So I could get rid of that, huh? What? But yeah, but remember in the movie, the most iconic part of the film is when he finally knows that he's ready to face off against the champ over in London. He's training in North Philly, and he's like running, 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 and all of a sudden, what surrounds him? Dirt bikes.
dirt bikes.
And ATV slow motion. The music is pumping, and when he gets in front of the back in front of the gym, he's out there like airboxing. Stallone is looking out the window approvingly, and the dirt bikes are like just doing circles and wheelies around him, doing burnouts. That's like life in a black city. Pit bulls, dirt bikes, you know. I mean, just it's like, you know, I really like Philly, but I don't like Philly.
So,
If I could just keep Philly without Philly, you know what I mean?
let me just say, I don't like the dirt bikes in the street either. But I do think Philadelphia has an obligation to create a space for people to ride ATVs and dirt bikes.
Yeah.
And they have not done that. In much the same way that they created the skateboard parks and things like that, they need to create a space for people to ride their ATVs and to ride their dirt bikes, just not on the streets.
Well, in Oakland, in Oakland where I grew up, it's called the Sideshow. So this thing started. If you look it up, if you're listening online or wherever you're listening from, just look at Oakland, California Sideshow, and it's going to pull up just a ton of video of, I mean, just like incredible like car stunts and stuff like that. It started, I mean, literally when I was a teenager is when it started. I wasn't old enough to drive just yet, but the first thing I did when I got my license and got my car was went to the Sideshow. Started like after, it was like right after the skating rink, and everybody would pull up to, first of all, just show off your car. And then what do you do to get attention? If your car is not really tight, you got to like get some way to like, you know, have young ladies look at you. So you just like mash on the gas and the brake at the same time and just create so much smoke that people have to look at you. Is they're like, and then you like mash off, they're like, boy, you're a buster. So it developed into this huge thing. I mean, like where it's like kind of like the freak show on wheels each week. The police eventually started trying to shut it down, right? Of course, that's what happens. So the Sideshow starts moving from place to the point where in Oakland several years ago, they said that if you even go to the Sideshow, you would be arrested for showing up at the Sideshow. Not even participating, but just literally being there, bro. But that's what happens in like black spaces. So my mother, happy pre-Mother's Day, would often say, and still says, why don't they just give them a place to like do this? It's a big city. We got all this industrial land. Some of these, you know, young guys might end up being stunt car drivers, she would say. Or they might end up with a career like, you know, as mechanics or doing whatever. If you just, can we like find a way to channel that energy into something positive instead of like just having a knee-jerk reaction, trying to lock them up? Is that our, this, you know?
Well, that's why I'm saying they need a space that they can go do that. I mean, you know, it's actually interesting. So for the regular bike riders and others, I mean, Belmont Plateau used to be the place. Now, I don't know if it still is or not, but it used to be the place where bikers would show up on Saturdays. At least the younger biker set would show up on Saturdays, and folk would hang out there. But yeah, I just think, you know, if there was a section of FDR Park or the Navy Yard that was set aside just for ATVs and you know, dirt bikers, set up a dirt bike track, you know, places they could ride. You know, I think that would be really great.
Well, I think but see, it does speak to, I think, to a larger question about how we understand how, um, I mean, the whole crime and punishment thing. You know what I mean? And just the way in which I'm looking at Gary's comment, for example, lawlessness. So everybody has to obey the law except ATV riders in the streets. No, I mean,
Well,
and
they
to your,
also should register their vehicles too. That's another thing,
yeah.
but they have insurance.
But again, we are in a concrete jungle, right? So if you grew up in the country, black, white, whatever, then there are trails for you to take your dirt bike to. There are places for like young people to ride them. They just jump on it and they just go off into the woods and they just ride to their heart's content. If you're in a city, you don't have those same kind of alternatives, right? I mean, we're talking about young people by and large, and young people do what young people do, right? And so you have to then so then the creative thing I think is to find a way to again channel that energy and give people a place that is safe where people can be responsible, but to just simply ignore it as though that I don't know. It just seems like the reaction tends to be an overreaction all the time, right? And I
Well,
mean,
there's an overreaction because of the way the folk are riding.
yeah,
They don't pay attention to the stoplights. They don't pay attention to the stop signs. They
uh,
ride past people.
uh,
They don't
uh,
stay in lanes.
have you ever driven in Philadelphia before, sir?
Yes, I drive in
Have you
Philadelphia all
ever?
the time.
We can take the stop signs down, my friend. Who stops at a stop sign in Philadelphia
Okay,
except people
I
visiting
stop
from
at stop
Jersey?
signs and I stop at red lights.
You also
So,
want your grandchildren to call you grandfather.
so
Of
what?
course, of
So
course,
what?
you're going to stop at the stop sign because you're a law-abiding person. My point is that most Philadelphians treat stop signs like at best they're yield signs.
I'm just saying that. I'm just saying. Wait a minute. I'm just saying that I think that ATVs and bikes should have to be registered. They need to have insurance like everybody else, and they need to obey the laws. That's all I'm saying. And I think the city, because we have one of the largest city parks in the country, could set aside some land that could be set up for ATVs and for dirt bikes to be able to ride. That's all I'm saying.
So, right, to your point, check this out. You want to see when all hell is going to break loose? We hadn't even talked about this. I don't know if anybody's talked about this. But there was a time pre pandemic when Martin Luther King, named after Martin Luther King, a black guy,
Hmm.
put hidden around Fairmount Park, the other drive, Kelly
Yeah.
Drive and MLK,
Yes.
which are commuter drives and take the pressure off of the Schuylkill
Hmm.
in the mornings. There was a time when it was only shut off to vehicle traffic during the daylight hours on the weekends during like 6 months of the 6 warmer months of the year. The
Hmm.
rest of the time it was open forever.
Right.
They shut it down completely and made it a pedestrian place for bicycles, skateboards, well not skateboards so much, but like skaters, walkers
Joggers.
and
Yes.
runners, right? So
Bicyclists.
it's been like that throughout the pandemic. You have not been able to use MLK with a vehicle, period. It's not even like just during the day, then at night it opens back up. It is shut off. Now you want to watch when all hell breaks loose? When you tell the white folk who have taken MLK Drive over to do all those recreational things, that's not just white people. It's a lot of black folk too, but primarily it's mostly white people.
Hmm.
When you try to take that back from them, when Mayor Kinney announces, hey, things in the pandemic have gotten more normal and the Schuylkill is getting very crowded again, which it is, and we could use that lane during the daytime, bro, you ain't gonna be able to get that back. They're gonna shut it down. But we've created a space for people who need recreation and a place as pedestrians to do that without having to duck and dodge these crazy cars that come flying around. So why can we not think in a city that has a ton of industrial places? You could tear down some of those old warehouses and factories in North Philly
Absolutely.
and build dirt bike parks right there that are
That's what I'm
fenced
talking
in.
about. That's what we
Yeah,
got to do. That's what we have to
yeah.
do. I feel a campaign coming on.
Come on. Tawanda can start it.
Tawanda, yeah, she's ready to go. She got a lot to say on this issue this morning.
Yeah.
See why does Aunt Young have to go after my dog now? So
Yeah.
what's up with that?
So he's saying basically what he's saying is you get to the stop sign with your Bichon Frige dog in your lap. You stop, you look to the left, to the right, and once again to the left before you turn right and go on about your business, slowly turning. Why do I envision you driving like an old school deuce and a quarter?
No, I don't drive an old school deuce and a quarter.
You should. Have you ever driven one?
I actually have driven in one. I've never driven one myself.
Brother, it's one of the best old school cars out there ever.
No,
Man, you look good.
I enjoy my car that I have right now. It's a very nice car, and it gets the job done. It's a good utilitarian vehicle.
So Asa says, all right, so Asa says, this is all I guess this is all I'm getting at on this rant. I'm sorry. Is that, he says the city has always created spaces for white people and criminalized black spaces.
Gotcha.
I mean, yeah, so it's like, so I kind of wanted to I'm leaning into this because when we come back from break, I do want to talk about this larger conversation of criminal justice and the tension that exists within criminal justice reform, because it feels like we're always pulled between polar extremes. I mean, these two DA candidates kind of represent that. And in the middle of it, being torn, sometimes asunder are black people, And so I don't want to talk about necessarily the candidates, but really kind of the idea. And it does seem to be that, again, because if you listen to some people, the answer to dirt bikes and ATV is just lock them all up and throw away the key, then they'll stop.
That's not my solution.
I'm not saying yours, but I'm just saying, but that is kind of it seems like that's the only alternative that we put on the table. And then when you do that, they stop. We tried that before. We call it the new Jim Crow.
There you go.
That's what it kind of looks like.
Yes.
And then it looks like people with a bunch of felony records that can't get jobs in 10 years because they were doing a wheelie on a dirt bike at, 18.
Yeah. Or 13 or 14 or 12. But anyway.
All right. He said you also were turning the car with the dog on your lap eating avocado toast.
Okay. First of all, I hate avocados. And second of all, the dog is in a lap belt. So please.
Oh my God. It's the power hour. We got to take a break. When we come back, we'll also get weather and traffic from Kuwait. Sorry, we went right through that first segment. Don't go anywhere. Hit the share button. We'll be right back.
Anthony Wright was wrongfully convicted of murder after he spent over 2 decades in prison. DNA exonerated him. In 2016, Carlos Vega re-prosecuted him anyway.
I was in prison, convicted of a crime that I didn't commit. Every single person that was involved was corrupt. I think about Carlos Vega, I think about the devil, I think about racism.
Vote now. Vote Krasner for DA. Paid for by Lawrence Krasner for District Attorney.
Hey everyone, it's Michelle Obama, and I wanted to let you know that Barack and I couldn't be more thrilled that we got our COVID-19 vaccine. This is a deadly disease, and we know the vaccine will protect us from getting really sick. It's how we'll start getting back to seeing friends and family and doing all those things we love again. So I hope you'll join me, Barack, and millions of others around the country and get your vaccine as soon as it's available to you. It's safe, it's free, and it could save your life or the life of someone you love. To learn more, just go to cdc.gov/coronavirus. I know it's been a long, hard year, but we can beat back this pandemic. With your help, we can do this.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
From safe to seamless, convenient to contactless, and local to express, SEPTA is the Philly way to go. Plan your trip at iseptaphilly.com.
The Pennsylvania Horticultural Society supports WURD and presents the 2021 Philadelphia Flower Show, Habitat Nature's Masterpiece, June 5th to 13th. Now blooming outdoors for the first time ever at FDR Park in South Philadelphia. Safely enjoy 15 acres of blooming gardens and artful floral displays, shopping, entertainment, and new food and beverage options, including park picnics and beer gardens, taking place outdoors this summer. Tickets and details available at phsonline.org.
Tune in every Saturday at 4 p.m. for the Did You Know Show with host Bryant Green, right here on WURD 96.1 FM and 900 AM.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Welcome back to the Power Hour. Sitting across from me is the Reverend Dr. Mark Kelly Tyler. I'm Dwayne Royster, and holding it all together for us on the board. We didn't do our normal intro today because we have been talking about bikers, but holding it all together on the boards is Kwesa. Kwesa, how you doing this morning?
I am doing okay. Good morning.
You know, it's cold outside. How was your ride today?
It's definitely cold. It's cold, yeah. I was just like, oh, all right. You keep thinking that maybe it's going to be a little bit warmer, and it's not. Like that cold wind just kind of hit me a little bit more than normal. So, but yeah, the ride in. So honestly, I hit a detour coming in. Luckily, I know multiple ways to kind of get to the station, but sometimes that happens. Like 1 minute there's no detours, and the next there are. But besides that, it wasn't too bad. A lot of trucks.
Yeah.
On the road. So I don't know what that's all about. Maybe just because everything's kind of opening up and people are building. I have no idea. But so be careful with the trucks. Make a little bit of extra time for, those detours that just pop up out of nowhere. And I think you'll be good.
Did you encounter any ATVs or dirt bikes on your way in this morning?
No, I didn't.
Did it terrorize you?
No.
The most fun part to me, because so I'm riding when I'm on like twos, and especially like when I'm like just riding like the Harley and I'm just like rolling through town. I get to a red light, and all of a sudden they all roll up on my side and all around me. They look like, "What's up, OG?" Like, "What up, young blood?" I look at those. I was like, "Been there, done that."
Yeah.
This is your future right here. I'll leave it right here for you. You can come get this in 30 years. Get off that little 100-pound dirt bike and come get on this 900-pound monster.
That's right.
Yeah, these kids, it's a lot of talent. I mean, again, I think
there's creativity in there. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, really, what a lot of these young folk are able to do, and most famously, I mean, Meek Mill's whole case was back in the news around his incarceration related to what? Out on a dirt bike popping wheelies while on probation. In a different city, by the way. So that the real issue was leaving Philadelphia and letting yourself get videotaped. Yeah, I mean, I think that, I guess what really troubles me is, in a larger context, is that we have to find a way to calibrate what justice served actually looks like. Because, if you listen, so let's talk about a person, don't even talk about a person in general. Let's just talk about just the extremes, right? So the one is, on the one hand, it is, give everybody a break. They were just young. They didn't know what they were doing. Just let them roll out. On the other hand, it is California, the 3 strikes law. So, you got caught stealing, car. You got caught, I don't know, like doing like graffiti. And then the third time you get caught stealing a soda pop out of a store. And the third strike gives you automatically 25 to life, no matter what the third strike is. And this was real in California. A lot of people, their third strike was, I mean, it was unbelievable what the third strike was that triggered that 25 to life. And people who did, 20, 30 years in jail from the late 80s, early 90s up into the present for things that anywhere else, people said, you did 30 years for what? And so that's kind of where we're torn between, right? These polar opposites, as though there is no middle ground, and that it can only be one way or the other, without recognizing the fact that oftentimes the people who are arguing about these things are not us and are not from our community. So on the one hand, no, we don't want our kids being shot in the street because somebody was out, who shouldn't have been out, we say now after the shooting has happened. But at the same time, we also don't want somebody who may have been able to be turned around to get 30 to 40 years and become like a number of these juvenile lifers who have just gotten out of jail in recent years. One of the members, listen, one of the folk who I know very close, and her father was, a lot of this has been made public. You know, her dad died in the commission of somebody doing a crime against him. Older white gentleman, and this is in the 80s. And the people who were involved were all juveniles.
Right.
And she had to fight years trying to get these guys out of jail because she felt like, good God, they were kids. They have done their time. They did over 30 years. And neither of them had a gun in the commission of it or anything else. And it was just such a painful experience for the entire family as they sought to try to say, we're over it. It's behind us. What happened was tragic. But can these young men get out of prison? But they went to prison in an era, if you remember, that also led to the Central Park Five and to so many cases where we were quick to just simply believe the worst about us.
Right. I mean, and we should be clear, right? When the three strikes law came around, when there was criminal justice reform in the early 90s during the Clinton administration, a whole lot of black folk were in support of all that. We need to be very clear about that, right? The members of the Black Caucus were voting for this stuff. There were black mayors that were instituting this stuff. You know, I mean, not too long ago, Mayor Mike Nutter was like having a fit about the young folk downtown Philadelphia and out on the bikes and stuff like that, right? So there have been black folk that have been just as much behind, you know, the fact that there's a criminal injustice system as it has been white folk. Now, part of it is we've been picking up white tropes, right? And we've been, you know, carrying that on. And that a lot of our black politicians are really the puppets of white institutions. And so we need to own that too and call it for what it is, and then demand that they cut the strings so that they can actually represent the communities that are there, as opposed to representing the white institutions that really don't care about inner city Philadelphia or any of Philadelphia other than the way that they can extract wealth out of the city. So we need to be very clear about those things in terms of what's happening. So now we're in this moment when Michelle Alexander comes out with the new Jim Crow, and then begins to really talk about the criminal justice system and expose it for what it is. And then we're beginning to get, you know, I don't want to say woke, because I think many of us in the subconscious always understood what was going on, but we just didn't, for the sake of not being traumatized daily, which we are right now, we just kind of sucked it up and was like, well, evidently, if that's what's happening, it's their fault. And I know that they're going to be out here, listeners to this, saying, I never did that. I'm telling you, the majority of black folk, and it, you know, always like, well, they shouldn't have been where they shouldn't have been. They shouldn't have been doing what they were doing. And we went through this whole thing. And now we're in a moment where we're sort of like, wow, we have destroyed our community, and we've let white people do that to us, and we've got to take it back.
Yeah. We have to get some real working definitions for ourselves for what things like restorative justice look like. A process that, you know, Reverend Donna Jones has been really working, doing just, I mean, an incredible job at trying to, she's got a project. We should have her on at some point. And I know she's been working with other clergy trying to bring us in, where taking, you know, people who are arrested for most of these cases were looting and charges of looting and rioting last year during the uprisings of the summer and also in the fall after Walter Wallace's killing by the police. And so, but again, and they've been like literally putting like young people face to face with store owners, for example, and let store owners tell them what it felt like to have their stores like, you know, ransacked, and I'm trying to be here for the neighborhood. And so, and then they kind of work out what would be just in this moment together. I mean, it's been, just even hear her talk about it is just incredibly powerful. And so she's trying, you know, engaging clergy to come in and be a part of this, to be, I can't even think of the name. You'd almost be like an advocate who's kind of like helping to kind of lead these sessions and bring people together. But that is a different approach, right? I think that, again, the knee-jerk reaction is you did something wrong, lock you up, throw away the key, and put you under the jail. And the only people that applies to, y'all, it's us. I mean, look at the Capitol rioters. It's being treated like, oh, Your Honor, come on. I just got caught up in the moment. Here's YouTube video of me saying what? We're gonna burn this mother down.
Yeah.
We're gonna go find Mike Pence. We're gonna hunt them all down and string them up on the gallows we got built out there. Your Honor, listen. I think you're misconstruing my words here. Look at me. Listen to me. Listen to me articulate, sir. Do I sound like a hardened criminal? It was a one-off. I got caught up in the president's rhetoric. I'm not that person. That one act does not define me and should not define where I'm going to spend the next 30 years. And the judge says, what? You're right. Give me 10 push-ups, $50, and go.
Yep. I mean, I think that is part of the problem that we're having too, right? You actually just said it in there. Listen to the way I articulate.
Yes.
Do I sound like a hardened criminal?
Yes.
What is that? That's like that's a trope for blackness, right? For black people.
Yes.
Do I sound ignorant? Do I sound like I use Ebonics? Do I show up and disheveled, or do I not look like a clean cut, good old white American citizen? I have a shirt on and a tie and a jacket and a pair of loafers and Oxfords, and I am coming into the court to submit myself here today to be able to say to you, Honor, look at me. I am a respectable white man. I should not be held accountable for these actions. It is because of the Negroes in the world that I had to go out and fight for justice, because they're trying to take everything from me.
Bro, listen, there is right now, so first of all, just as an aside, there's a man in Bucks County who went into the Capitol, and they've caught him.
Yes, this got him the other day. It's social media.
Just as an aside, I know that as he was being handcuffed and led out of his house, he looked at his wife and said, I told you, keep me off of your social media page, damn it. I told you I don't like that Facebook. He has no social media presence at all, this man. His wife, however, likes to post a lot, including what he did on January 6th, along with others who violently attacked what do you call it? You keep calling it the Temple of what?
Temple of Democracy.
The Temple of Democracy. And my man was a part of the crowd, strode right in there. And, this is after they scared the hell out of all of Congress and the rest of the world as we sat there watching helplessly. The actions of the crowd led to the murder of a police officer, in spite of what the new forensic says, that, it wasn't actually them. It was, he just died of a heart attack. Natural causes. Yeah, natural causes. White supremacy is a natural cause. And so he's been arrested. But now I'm looking at the story on local media here, and they've got pictures of him being hugged by his wife and daughter and grandkids, and he's just, he just looks like it's like even the media is portraying him as someone who is deserving of sympathy, and we should excuse this, his worst moment. And yet, when the shoe is on the other foot.
That's right.
And, we ourselves have bought into, as you said, the tropes and talking points of white supremacy, where we don't give ourselves the benefit of the doubt. And so, no, we are to be defined by our worst act ever, our worst day ever. And in fact, you're going to pay for it for the rest of your life.
That's right. And the white folk get to look in there like, American pie, ice cream and American pie, vanilla ice cream and American pie. This is what America's supposed to be. And this guy deserves another chance. And it was just a really bad day.
I mean, why not just continue to show the picture? Let's do like we would do if this were a black dude who robbed a store. What picture would be shown throughout the entire news segment? The picture of him either going in the store with a weapon in his hand, a mugshot. It would be some photograph that reinforces all of the negative stereotypes. But I'm looking at this. They do show him in the Capitol once with a cell phone on his ear, but the majority of photos are photos that have been supplied by the family to the media. With grandkids around and dogs. And look, he don't have no Bichon Frise. I think it's a lab. Can't get no
lab.
more.
It's a black lab, though.
I think it's blonde.
Oh, it's a blonde lab. It's a
I think so.
It's a golden lab, yeah. A yellow lab, yeah.
I think so. But my point is that,
Because if it
again,
was
it's
black, they would have pressing the dog. That's what I just wanted to note that.
yeah. I'm looking at the picture, bro. You're in the Capitol. You just broke a federal.
I think Rev is frozen.
He's frozen. Okay. Yeah. So we wow. So anyway, we got to go to break. Anyway, so let's go to break, and when we come back, we'll continue this conversation.
Right.
We do all we can to ensure our kids are happy, healthy, safe, and strong. Having high-quality, low-cost health insurance helps make that possible. With CHIP, your child can have medical, dental, eye care, and more for free or low cost. Whether you're self-employed, unemployed, or your employee benefits are just too expensive, CHIP is there for you to help your child be strong. CHIP Strong. Apply or renew today at 800-986-KIDS or go to chipcoverspakids.com.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Spring forward with premium nutrition meals. Enjoy a variety of new exciting entrees along with rewards and referrals program that pays you to eat and tell. As always, everything is chef crafted, freshly prepared, and delivered to your door. Just visit premiumnutritionmeals.com where listeners get $10 off 6 meals or more. Enter code PREMIUMWORD at checkout.
Hey, Word family, Reverend Leroy with a boss good recommendation for Clark Roofing. I found them to be a solid business, honest, dependable, fast, and clean workers. Mr. Clark stands by his work. Call him at 215-365-7663.
Call Clark Roofing and ask for second-generation master roofer Calvin Clark. Clark Roofing professionally installs a variety of roofing systems for your home or businesses. Call Clark Roofing at 215-365-7663 or visit their website
at clarkroofingpa.com.
Hi, WURD family. My name is Kim Hall Jackson, and I am a colorectal cancer survivor. I am also a wife, a mother, a sister, an aunt, and now a grandmother. This Mother's Day, the best gift you can give is the gift of life with the Go to Know campaign. WURD Radio has partnered with the Colorectal Cancer Alliance, Independence Blue Cross Foundation, Penn Medicine, and LabCorp to provide free screening for colon cancer. WURD listeners can register to see if they qualify for a free at-home screening test. Most will. The Go to Know campaign aims to provide African Americans with access to free testing for colon cancer screening. You know, as mothers, we always put our families first, but now we need to put ourselves first and all the mothers in our lives. I am a 10-plus year cancer survivor. In those 10 years, I've attended my daughter's wedding, 4 college graduations, and proudly became a grandmother. Get your test today. Go to the Go to Know banner on WURDradio.com and register for your loved ones and yourself today.
Tune in Saturdays from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. to hear Empire Capital and Consulting founder Mark Palmer's show titled Black Money, Black Power. This show centers around black money and how black power is derived from money. Tune in every Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Black Money, Black Power, hosted by Mark Palmer.
Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by CVS. And Valley beginning to build southbound 95, Cottman down through Bridge. Busy again, Betsy Ross through Girard, northbound side. Not bad as you get through the city. The Vine Expressway, westbound Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway, a bit slow. Schuylkill itself both ways, not bad yet east or westbound this morning. Looking at the PA Turnpike, Blue Route 476 in pretty good shape. 55 northbound Deptford into 42. A little busy there now as we move on this Friday morning. It pays to fill your prescriptions at CVS. In fact, you could earn up to $50 in extra bucks each year for just filling prescriptions. That's healthier made easier. Visit CVS today. Terms and conditions apply. Not available in all states. See cvs.com/RX rewards or the pharmacy for details. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Welcome back to the Power Hour. This is Dwayne Royster along with Mark Kelly Tyler, who is back with us in this particular moment. So we are grateful for that. You froze up there for a minute, Doc. But
well, as Ant Young said in Facebook, he said what happened when my screen froze is that I was frozen by white privilege as if I was a Bichon Frige.
Okay. Y'all can leave my dog alone now. Okay. You can leave my dog alone.
And I see Ant doing all that talk. He probably got a half Cocker Spaniel, half poodle, a little cockapoo.
Right, French poodle out there. A French poodle down there in the DMV. They have designer dogs down in the DMV.
Hey,
So.
Sheila, I don't know if this is a typo or not, but it is really funny. Said one of the listeners angry with me because I don't like reckless, dirty bikers roaring through my community. I mean, there are some dirty bikers out there, but we were talking about dirt bikes. Can you please let me know which ones you were talking about? There are actually probably some dirty dirt
Wait a minute,
bikes.
he's got a cockapoo.
I told you. What I tell you?
Designer dog.
I knew it.
Hey, Deacon Maleka, could you post in there the name of the store that was over in that was playing the go-go music that they were trying to shut down in D.C. when the gentrifiers moved in? I did not remember the name of it. Maybe you remember the name of it. I just want to give the name of the store. So
and as typical, Ant Young, like most guys who don't want to own it, he said the dog is actually his daughter's. Yeah, Ant. I know when everybody's going, yeah, come here.
That's right. Ant said it's an OG poo, and the dog, my dog's name is Sparky Twanda.
And Sheila says it's dirt bikes, not the dirty bikers, but there are some dirty dirt bikers and some dirty bikers. But she's talking about the dirt bikes. And I mean, listen, I'm not, I think it's fine. If you don't like them, it's not your cup of tea. There's nothing wrong with that. All I'm saying is that, let's find a place for them. And secondly, we got bigger fish to fry right here. Hey, so have you ever heard the expression, have it your way?
Have it your way?
Yeah.
Have it right now. Have it your way.
No, but what fast food restaurant comes to mind when you say that? Yeah. So what happens when you put Burger King and you put a lady who doesn't get it her way, who also likes to throw racial slurs?
She throws it back at them.
Yeah, with racial slurs.
Yes.
So there's an older lady. She's in her 70s, facing some jail time now. And ironically, her last name is Black.
Wow. She must really resent herself daily.
Yeah. Oh my God. The Root had a ball with this. The Root said it's probably very confusing at family reunions when she goes in on the blacks. People don't know. He said they don't really know. She's still upset with the family. Or is it the blacks?
The blacks.
Kind of makes you think of that Chappelle show skit about the family who had the N-word last name. But yeah, no, seriously, bro. Seriously. She went into Burger King and they didn't give it to her way. She didn't like the size of the tomato slice.
And that's why she let them have it, because the size of the tomato slice.
Well, she told these people that the tomato slice was too thick. And allegedly, this is according to the police. And so the police said it must be right. And so she hurled the Whopper back at the woman and let her know that she was a black B-word, and several times allegedly called her the N-word.
Wow.
Caught on video, she went home like a Capitol rioter, thought it was all good until the po-po showed up and said, had you just thrown the Whopper and called her just a regular garden variety B-word, we'd say it's just a misdemeanor. Wipe our hands and go our way. But you called her a black one and you called her an N-word, and we got to take you down because that's a hate crime. Said, no, I hate thick tomatoes. No, apparently you hate black people too, because you said the N-word in the commissioning of a crime. But don't hold your breath for justice to be served.
Yeah, no, not at all. No. This is going to get wiped out because she was just having a bad moment. And, even though her last name is Black, it would just be she was having a bad moment because really she's white.
You think she'd have more sympathy for the blacks?
No sympathy for the blacks.
I mean, you can't even make this stuff up.
Yeah.
N-word, I said thin onion. I mean, thin tomato.
Help me understand this, right? Even with the Capitol rioters. So, literally, George Orwell's vision of 1984 has come to pass.
Sure.
There are cameras everywhere.
Yes.
Even when you don't want there to be cameras everywhere, there are cameras everywhere.
Yes.
So why do you continue to act certain ways when you know that there are cameras constantly on you? I don't understand this. I really don't understand. And not only are there cameras constantly on you, but your face is constantly being put out in social media. It's going to be out there forever. Why? Why?
Right.
Please, somebody please explain to me, why do you act this way when you know you go into retail establishments, stores, other places, cameras are always on? I don't understand it. I really don't understand it.
Well, let me just tell you, I don't understand it either, but as Run DMC says, it's like that, and that's the way it is. So listen, we got a few minutes left before we go, and before we go, I wanted to make sure that I had a question I was going to ask you like all morning, and that is, what is your best or funniest memory of your mama?
My funniest memory of my mother.
Yeah. Did she ever turn up on you publicly?
Oh my goodness.
What did Miss Royster do?
So Mrs. Royster, so, I am the way that I am because of my mother. Part of me is like very, conservative, kind of rigid. So when we were kids, and we used to go to Pathmark on Ivy Hill Road, my mom would take us, to go to the supermarket, right? But we were kids, we were running around. And my mother, her rule was like, don't embarrass me. Whatever you do, do not embarrass me. So my mother would call us. We were running around the store, store security's chasing after us, the whole 9 yards. She would get us close to her, and she would come to us, and she would be talking very calmly but very sternly at the same time. She would take her thumb in the spot between your neck and your shoulder blade, and she would begin to squeeze. And then she would say to us, do not scream, do not make a noise. But the whole time she's pressing harder and harder until we are actually on our knees in the store because she is telling us, you better stop running around. Don't you embarrass me in the store. I taught you better than this. I don't know who you are. And, so yes, that was my mother.
And your mom, so there were three of you the same age, just
That's
about.
right.
So,
That's right.
I mean, well, we came in sets. So there were two older that were twins, and then 11 years later, she had the other two of us that were, like right back to back. So two, rambunctious is a lot easier to control than three at the exact same time. Let me tell you, my mom, so I've been thinking about this story a lot. So just to show you how long I've been riding motorcycles. So I was like 15 when I got my first bike of my own. My uncle bought it. Her brother, that she was like, yeah, thank you very much. She didn't want me to have a BB gun. Her sister bought me a BB gun. She didn't want me to have a motorcycle. Her brother bought. I think that since she was the oldest, they were paying her back for the time she tortured them. Right. And so she told us don't go anywhere. Now, my younger brother and I, of course, as soon as she was gone, what did we do? We went somewhere. Like, duh. Right? I got a motorcycle. You think I'm going to stay in the house? No. Bro, we didn't get the timing right. So we didn't get home in time. We're at the skating rink showing off. I'm riding some girl around in the parking lot of the skating rink. He's like talking to some girl. And boy, that tornado hit that turn. I wanted to tell somebody who's listening. They mentioned that their mom had like a 82 or 83 tornado. We did too with the wraparound back window. Bro, that thing hit that turn.
Woo.
I was like, oh, crap. She was like, ah! Kevin took off running. He ran all the way home. It's like 3 miles. He beat us home. You think I'm kidding? He literally beat us home. And she beat us when we got home. She embarrassed me so bad. Cussed. Well, I don't like to remember. To me, it wasn't really a cuss. Let's just say she just let me have it in front of all those people at the skating rink. I ain't go back to the skating rink almost a year.
I hear you. So embarrassed, right?
Get your home.
Oh, wow.
Took my keys to my bike. Moms, man. But yeah, so shout out to Mama. Happy Mother's Day. She's thank God that she is still here with us and all that good stuff, and still turning up in Oakland.
Yep. And happy Mother's Day to my mother out there, and also to your wife and my wife, right? And, to all the wives that are out there celebrating Mother's Day. And, it's a quasi-Mother's Day for my eldest because in just a month or so, she'll be having my first grandchild. And that will be, so this is her last Mother's Day as a independent individual. So.
All right. grandfather.
All right. Well, listen, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. For those that have their mothers with them, please celebrate. For those that have lost them, we are in prayer with you, but continue to have great fond memories of all that she has meant to you throughout the many years. We'll be back on Monday from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. to bring you the latest in news, happenings around Philadelphia, and, of course, our opinions. Thank you, Kwesa, for holding down the boards. Thank you, Dr. Tyler, for everything you do. Stay tuned for Wake Up with Word with Solomon Jones. And listen, family, do us a favor. Go out, change the damn world, because if you don't, nobody else will. Peace.
Deuces.